Former Speaker of the Minnesota House of Representatives has been killed. A man who was pretending to be a police officer broke into Melissa Hortman's home and killed her and her husband. And that same man also broke into State Senator John Hoffman's house and shot him and his wife. This is the only logical conclusion to the hateful rhetoric that is coming out of Donald Trump's White House. This is what happens when we other people to the point where their humanity is lost in the eyes of our political opponents. Here's a quote from The Handmaid's Tale. I'm awake to the world. I was asleep before. That's how we let it happen. When they slaughtered Congress, we didn't wake up. When they blamed terrorists and suspended the Constitution, we didn't wake up then either. They said it would be temporary. Nothing changes instantaneously. In a gradually heating bathtub, you're boiled to death before you knew it. I'm not saying the U.S. is going to turn into Gilead, except for the brain-dead pregnant woman who's being kept alive because they legally couldn't let her pass. That's kind of Gilead. But this is still the authoritarian creep of fascism. Political violence cannot become the norm. And this stuff is only going to get worse with AI, with more and more convincing videos that can trick people into thinking that people on the opposite side of the political spectrum from them are doing heinous, awful things or acting in ways that they think are deplorable. As we've already seen a few faked videos of violence from the LA protests. And this is actually a huge talking point of the show The Orville, where there is a society that they basically gave up on the concept of truth. AI deepfakes became so common and so hard to spot that people just assume that everything they see is fake, while at the same time still getting riled up and politically active and aggressive over those deepfakes, which has essentially caused their political climate to devolve into chaos and violence. And they now consider that acceptable in their society. Stuff doesn't exactly play out like it always does in science fiction or like it does in history. Things don't exactly repeat themselves, but they rhyme. And there are people with the foresight to write these stories to warn us. And Americans need to start taking that warning seriously because the rest of the world is.